I'm Heather. I'm 37 years old. And at my brother's son's birthday party on our family ranch in Boise, my own mother sliced the cake, handed a piece to every single kid, then stopped right in front of my 9-year-old daughter and said, "She shouldn't be here." Finley froze, eyes wide, as the room went silent. I grabbed her hand, walked straight out the door, and didn't look back. Before I tell you about the fallout that ripped everything apart and finally gave me my life back, do me a favor, drop the city you're watching from in the comments right now. It lets me know I'm not the only one who's been through this. 3 weeks earlier, my phone rang in the quiet of my Boise office. I was finalizing sketches for a downtown loft renovation, sunlight cutting across the desk when her name flashed, Mom. My stomach tightened the way it always did. I let it ring twice before answering. "Heather?" My mom, Evelyn Ingram, said, her voice smooth but edged. "Reed is turning 10. We need the whole family at the ranch for his birthday. It's been too long since we've all been together." I leaned back in my chair, pencil still in hand. The ranch in Boise meant wide fields, the old barn, and memories I had spent years avoiding. Evelyn rarely called unless she wanted something, and family from her usually came with conditions. I thought of my brother Colin Ingram, the one who could do no wrong in her eyes. Growing up, every report card of mine came with a comparison. "Colin closed that deal at 15, she'd say while glancing at my drawings. "What are you building that's going to last?" My late husband had been my escape from all that. We met in college, married young, and when Finley came along, he promised we'd raise her far from the constant measuring stick. But 6 years ago, a truck ran a red light on the highway outside town. One moment he was driving home with groceries, the next I was planning a funeral. Evelyn showed up at the service, pulled me aside, and whispered, "Finley doesn't carry our real bloodline, you know. Be careful how you raise her." I walked away that day and kept my distance, polite cards on holidays, nothing more. Finley had started noticing. At school pickups, she'd watch other kids run to grandparents and ask why hers never came. "Do they live too far, Mommy?" Her questions hit harder each time. Maybe Evelyn had softened. Maybe this birthday was a real chance. "Okay," I said into the phone, the word out before I could second guess. "We'll be there." Evelyn's reply came quick, satisfaction clear. "Wonderful. The guest rooms are ready." I hung up and stared at the sketch on my screen, the peaceful lines now blurred by old anxiety. Walking back into that ranch felt like stepping onto a field I already knew how to lose. But Finley deserved to try. For her, I'd manage the barbs and the favoritism. That evening, I picked her up from after-school art club. She bounced into the car, backpack swinging, cheeks smeared with paint. Over dinner, her favorite mac and cheese, I kept my tone light. "Guess what I talked to Grandma Evelyn today?" Her spoon stopped halfway to her mouth. "Really?" Excitement lit her face. "She invited us to the ranch for Reed's birthday. Grandpa Norman will be there. Uncle Colin, Aunt Spring, everyone." Finley dropped the spoon and clapped. "A real family party on a ranch." She rattled off plans without pausing. "We can feed the horses, chase chickens, make s'mores by the fire pit. Do you think Grandma has cows? I want to see baby cows." Her joy filled the small kitchen, pushing back the doubt in my chest. I ruffled her hair. "All that and more, kiddo." She talked through bath time, listing outfits she might wear, wondering if Daisy would share toys. As I tucked her in, she hugged her stuffed horse tight. "This is going to be the best, Mommy. Thank you." Lying in the dark later, I replayed Evelyn's call. The invitation sounded perfect, but I knew her patterns. Still, Finley's smile that night made the risk feel worth it. I had built a life here, steady clients, a cozy apartment, friends like Sam who knew the whole story. The ranch was just one weekend. I could shield her from the worst. The next morning, Finley woke early, already sketching a barn on her tablet. "For Uncle Colin's present," she explained. I watched her add details, a red roof, tiny windows, and felt a mix of pride and worry. She wanted so much to fit in. I texted Sam about the trip. His reply was instant. You're braver than me. Call if you need extraction. I smiled, pocketed the phone, and focused on the day ahead. Deadlines waited, but so did that birthday. For Finley, I'd make it work. The next afternoon, Finley spread craft supplies across the kitchen table. She had begged to start Reed's birthday card early, pulling out colored cardstock markers and a bag of foam stickers shaped like horses. I watched her fold the paper carefully, creating layers that would pop up when opened. First, the cake, she narrated, drawing 3 tiers with pink frosting swirls. Then the ranch gate and looked tiny horses running free. Her tongue poked out in concentration as she glued a miniature cowboy hat on one. I sat beside her with my laptop pretending to check emails while stealing glances. The card was taking shape into something special, the kind of gift that showed how much thought she put in. Finley added a speech bubble from the cake. Happy 10th cousin. She beamed up at me. Do you think he'll like it, Mommy? I nodded, throat tight. He'll love it. Later, while she napped on the couch, I dialed my friend Sam. He answered on the second ring background noise of a coffee shop. Tell me you changed your mind about the ranch, he said without greeting. I sighed. It's a trap, right? Sam had heard every story over late-night beers, Evelyn's favoritism, the funeral whisper, the way Colin always got the spotlight. Trap with barbed wire, he replied. But if you're going, watch your back. And Finley's? I thanked him and hung up his warning, settling like dust. That evening, curiosity pulled me to an old email chain from the elementary school parent group. I still got copied because Finley attended the same public school Reed and Daisy did. Scrolling through meeting minutes, I noticed Evelyn listed as treasurer alongside her president role. One attachment caught my eye, a budget update from last quarter. I downloaded it, scanning rows of numbers. Field trip funds, art supplies, a line labeled miscellaneous reimbursement for $3,000 paid to an account ending in the same last 4 digits as Mom's personal checks I'd seen years ago. Another transfer followed 2 weeks later, same amount. My pulse quickened. This wasn't right. I forwarded the file to myself, closing the laptop before Finley woke. No need to drag her into adult messes yet. Instead, I focused on preparing her for the visit. Over breakfast the following morning, I practiced names like a gentle drill. When we get there, you'll meet Grandpa Norman. He's Grandma Evelyn's husband and loves telling stories about the old barn. Finley repeated, Grandpa Norman. I continued. Uncle Colin is my brother and Aunt Spring is his wife. Reed is turning 10 and Daisy is 7. Your cousins. She giggled at the word cousins, practicing each title with exaggerated politeness. Finley wanted to rehearse greetings in the mirror. Hi, Grandma Evelyn. Thank you for inviting us. She curtsied dramatically, then switched. Hello, Aunt Spring. Your dress is pretty. I corrected gently when she mixed up Uncle and Grandpa, but her enthusiasm never faded. By lunchtime, she had the lineup down, adding her own flair, like promising Daisy they'd build a fort in the hayloft. I packed an overnight bag for each of us, folding Finley's favorite jeans and the sparkly sneakers she insisted on wearing. In my suitcase went work files, just in case a client needed quick revisions. The budget emails stayed buried in my inbox, a quiet alarm I couldn't ignore, but wasn't ready to sound. Sam texted again, hydrate. And remember, you control the exit. I replied with a thumbs up, then turned to Finley. She was adding final touches to the card, a glitter border around the horses. Almost perfect, she declared, holding it up for inspection. We spent the afternoon baking practice cookies, shaping them like cowboy boots, because Finley decided Reed needed a preview treat. Flour dusted the counters as she measured chocolate chips with careful scoops. Grandpa Norman will eat 3, she predicted. Uncle Colin likes the edges crispy. Her imaginary family interactions filled the kitchen with laughter, easing the knot in my stomach. By bedtime, the card stood propped on her dresser, ready for the trip. Finley fell asleep, clutching a small toy horse, dreaming out loud about galloping across fields. I lingered in the doorway, watching her chest rise and fall. The emails waited, but so did her excitement. I'd handle one challenge at a time. Saturday morning, we pulled up the gravel drive to the ranch. Finley pressed her face to the window, pointing at the red barn and white fences stretching across the green fields. I parked near the horse stables where a couple of animals poked heads over stall doors. The air carried fresh hay and distant barbecue smoke from the outdoor setup. Finley clutched her pop-up card like a treasure as we grabbed our bags from the trunk. Mom met us at the porch steps, arms open for a quick hug that felt more duty than warmth. "You made it," she said, eyes scanning Finley before turning to me. "Parked in the usual spot, good." Dad waved from the grill area, flipping burgers while chatting with neighbors already milling around long picnic tables under string lights. Colin and Spring arrived minutes later, unloading coolers from their truck. Reed bolted ahead, high-fiving friends near a bounce house set up on the lawn. Daisy trailed behind, clutching a stuffed pony. We headed to the main table covered in checkered cloth plates stacked high with chips and salads. I counted seats, exactly enough for the adults and kids Mom had invited, but no extra. Finley tugged my sleeve. "Where do I sit, Mommy?" Mom glanced over. "Oh, we can squeeze in a folding chair at the end." She disappeared into the house and returned with a rusty metal one, placing it crookedly past the last spot. Finley climbed up, knees barely fitting under the table edge. Finley held out her card proudly. "I made this for Reed." Mom took it, flipping open the pop-up briefly. "Cute effort," she muttered, then walked inside and slid it onto a cluttered shelf in the entryway closet among old coats and boots. Finley watched the door close, lower lip quivering for a second before she forced a smile. Games started soon after. Kids chased each other around hay bales while adults sipped lemonade. Mom gathered a group near Daisy, who twirled in a frilly dress. "Look at this little lady, pure Ingram grace with those curls," Mom announced loudly. Daisy beamed, accepting compliments. Finley edged closer, but a splash of juice from a nearby cup dotted her white skirt. Mom noticed immediately. "Careful there, don't go ruining nice clothes on the dirt." Finley brushed at the spot, uselessly, cheeks flushing. Colin joined the circle, arm around Reed. "Big news, Reed just earned a full scholarship to the junior writing program downtown." Applause rippled through the guests. Reed stood taller, recounting jumps he'd mastered. Spring added details about early morning practices. I congratulated them, but Mom dominated the praise. "That's my grandson, always exceeding expectations." Finley tried joining the kids' line for pony rides. The handler waved her through, but Mom intercepted. "Those boots aren't broken and stick to the petting zoo area." Finley obeyed, stroking goats instead, while watching Reed trot circles on a spotted horse. Lunch plates circulated hot dogs, corn, coleslaw. Finley reached for a second helping of chips, and Mom shook her head. "Easy on the snacks before cake." Yet she piled extra onto Daisy's plate without comment. I helped serve drinks, keeping an eye on Finley wedged at her awkward seat. She chatted with a neighbor's child about school projects, voice bright despite the slights. Dad pulled me aside near the stables. "Your mom's in her element hosting," he said quietly. I nodded, not trusting words. Colin demonstrated roping tricks for the boys, Reed mimicking perfectly. Spring organized a sack race pairing Daisy with winners. Finley participated but tripped early, landing in grass. Mom called out, "Up you go, no harm done," but her tone carried dismissal. As sunlight shifted, more families arrived, filling every corner of the yard. Finley stayed close to the petting area, feeding carrots to rabbits. I refilled water stations, overhearing Mom boast to a parent about Colin's latest real estate closing. The party hummed with laughter and music from a portable speaker. Finley waved me over to show a lamb nuzzling her hand. "It's so soft," she whispered. I knelt beside her, brushing dirt from her knees. Cake time approached, tables cleared for the main event. Mom carried out a massive sheet cake decorated with fondant horses and a big 10 candle. Guests sang as Reed leaned in to blow. Finley stood on tiptoes for a better view, eyes wide at the sparkler effects. Plates distributed, forks ready. Mom cut generous squares, passing them down the line. My phone buzzed with an urgent client call. The developer from Salt Lake City needed immediate revisions on a lobby layout before their Monday presentation. I glanced at Finley playing tag with other kids near the bounce house and signaled I'd be quick. Mom nodded absently while directing cleanup of lunch scraps. I slipped into the guest room, set up my laptop on the dresser, and joined the Zoom. The connection lagged at first, then stabilized as I shared screens and marked changes in real time. The meeting dragged with questions about material samples and lighting angles. I muted during pauses to check texts, none from Finley. Voices filtered through the closed door, laughter from the yard, clinking dishes, Reed shouting victory in a game. 40 minutes in, the client approved the updates and ended the call. I saved files, closed the program, and stepped out, expecting to find Finley at the dessert table. Instead, I spotted her alone on the back porch steps, knees pulled to her chest, staring at the ground, no plate in sight. I hurried over and sat beside her. "Hey, sweetie, what's going on?" Finley looked up, eyes red-rimmed. "They gave everyone cake except me." Her voice cracked on the last word. I wrapped an arm around her shoulders. "Tell me exactly what happened." She took a shaky breath. "After you went inside, Grandma Evelyn cut the cake. She handed pieces to Reed first, then Daisy, then all the other kids. When she got to me, she just skipped. One of the moms asked if I wanted some, and Grandma said loud enough for everyone to hear, 'She doesn't belong at this family party.'" Finley wiped her nose on her sleeve. The kids stared, then went back to eating. I came here so no one would see me cry. Anger surged hot in my chest, but I kept my tone steady. "You did nothing wrong. Stay right here, I'm getting you cake." I stood scanning the crowd. Mom stood near the kitchen door, chatting with Spring, both holding empty plates. Colin loaded gifts into his truck. Dad manned the ice chest, offering sodas. I marched to the dessert table where leftover cake sat under a mesh cover. A neighbor lady noticed. "Help yourself, plenty left." I grabbed a paper plate, cut a corner piece with extra frosting, and added sprinkles Finley liked. On my way back, I passed the open kitchen window. Mom's voice carried out clearly as she spoke to Spring inside. "I meant what I said. She shouldn't be here acting like part of the celebration." Spring murmured something low. Mom continued, "This day is for real family milestones." My hand tightened on the plate. I set it down quietly on a side table, pulled out my phone, and hit record. Stepping closer to the screen door but staying out of sight, I captured every word as Mom repeated the line with emphasis. "She doesn't belong at this family party, and that's final." The clip lasted 20 seconds before Spring changed the subject to cleanup duties. I stopped recording, saved the file, and pocketed the phone. Heart pounding, I picked up the cake plate and returned to Finley. She managed a small smile when I handed it over. "Chocolate with horses on top?" I pointed to the fondant decorations. "Your favorite kind." She dug in, slowly savoring each bite while I sat guard. Other kids ran past, chasing balloons, oblivious now. Dad wandered over with 2 juice boxes. "Everything okay?" he asked, handing one to Finley. She nodded mid-chew. I forced a neutral expression. "Just a work break?" He lingered a moment, then rejoined the grill cleanup. Colin called Reed to help carry chairs. Spring emerged from the kitchen carrying trash bags, avoiding my direction. Finley finished half the slice and set the plate aside. "I'm full now, Mommy." I brushed crumbs from her lap. "Proud of you for telling me." She leaned against my side, energy spent. Guests began leaving in waves, cars crunching down the drive. Mom waved goodbyes from the porch, all smiles for departing families. I gathered our things discreetly, folding Finley's jacket over my arm. The recorded words looped in my mind, fuel for what came next. Finley stood when I did, ready without question. We slipped toward the car amid the thinning crowd. That evening, after tucking Finley in at home, I sat at the kitchen counter with my laptop open. The drive back had been quiet, Finley asleep most of the way, her head against the window. I replayed the video clip on mute, Mom's words sharp, even without sound. Forwarding it felt like crossing a line, but ignoring it wasn't an option. I attached the file to an email from my attorney Lisa Grant, a woman I'd hired years ago for freelance contracts and trusted with tougher issues. Subject line: Urgent Family Matter Evidence. I added a brief note: Need advice on next steps. Possible misuse of school funds tied to this. Lisa replied within minutes: On it. Send any other details you have. I dug through my inbox for those old parent group emails forwarding the budget attachment I'd flagged earlier. The numbers stared back: 3 separate transfers totaling $15,000, all marked as reimbursements, but lacking receipts. I included screenshots of the account digits matching what I remembered from Mom's holiday cards. By midnight, Lisa called. The video is damning on its own for emotional distress, but the financials elevate this, she said, voice steady over the line. I accessed public records through the school district portal. Those transfers route to an account in Evelyn's name. No supporting invoices filed with the treasurer reports. She paused. This looks like embezzlement from PTA funds. Small town, but still felony level if proven. I leaned against the fridge, processing. What can we do without dragging Finley through court? Lisa outlined options: anonymous tip to the school board, full report to authorities, or timed release to force resignation. The upcoming fundraiser at the community center Evelyn's chairing it right. Perfect leverage if you want minimal fallout for the kid. We mapped a plan. Lisa would compile a dossier video, time-stamped transfer logs, district bylaws on fund handling. I'll redact anything identifying Finley, she assured. Focus stays on the money. I thanked her, hung up, and stared at the ceiling. Sleep came in fits, dreams mixing cake frosting with spreadsheet rows. Morning brought routine school drop-off, client emails, coffee strong enough to cut fog. Finley seemed resilient, chattering about a class art project. We're making paper horses. I smiled, hiding the weight. Sam texted, heard you left early. Call, I replied later, filling him in without specifics. His response: smart move, consulting Lisa. Throughout the week, Lisa updated via secure messages. She cross-referenced bank statements obtained legally through a contact at the credit union. Mom's personal account showed deposits matching the PTA withdrawals exactly. One labeled event supplies, another guest speaker fee, the third emergency repair. No vendors listed, no bids. Lisa attached scanned copies watermarked for confidentiality. I reviewed everything during lunch breaks, printing pages at a copy shop far from home. The total hit $15,000, even siphoned over 6 months. Lisa noted patterns: transfers spiked before Mom's personal trips, like that cruise last spring. Clear misuse, she wrote. Board will act fast to avoid audit. Finley noticed my distraction one night over homework. Mommy, are you mad about the party? I closed the folder. Working on making things fair. She accepted that, returning to math problems. Lisa scheduled a final review Friday. Dossier complete. Video edited to 30 seconds, faces of minors blurred except audio context. Financial trail ironclad. We discussed delivery: mass email to the parent listserv during the fundraiser keynote. Anonymous sender traced to public library IP if needed. No direct confrontation, maximum pressure. I agreed. The event loomed, a week away. Booth, silent auction, Mom's speech on community unity. Lisa sent the compiled file PDF with exhibits, video embedded. Ready when you are. I saved it to a USB drive labeled innocently as Booth Designs. Days blurred with work deadlines, but the plan anchored me. Finley practiced a school play line in the mirror, unaware of the storm building. Sam offered backup. I'll be at the fundraiser crowd if you need a wingman. I declined, solo execution cleaner. By Thursday, everything sat prepared. Lisa confirmed, 1 click sends to 200 inboxes. I nodded to myself in the empty office. Waiting for the perfect moment felt right, consequences contained to those who earn them. The following Saturday, the community center buzzed with fundraiser energy. Tables lined the walls with silent auction items, gift baskets, local art weekend getaways. Families milled about, kids chasing balloons between booths. I arrived early, blending into the volunteer crowd setting up chairs. Finley stayed home with Sam, building a puzzle far from any drama. Lisa had preloaded the email on a burner account accessed via public Wi-Fi earlier that week. Mom took the stage at 7 sharp, microphone in hand, smile polished. Family is the foundation of everything we build here. She began, voice projecting confidence. Tonight proves how we support our children together. Applause rippled. She continued, praising PTA initiatives, naming donors, outlining goals for new playground equipment. From a corner table near the exit, I opened my laptop discreetly under a stack of flyers. The draft-weighted subject, Critical PTA Transparency Update. Attachments, the video clip, and financial exhibits. Recipient list pulled 200 parent emails from the directory. I hovered over, send heart steady. Mom wrapped her speech. Let's make this year unforgettable. Click. The email fired to every inbox. Phones began lighting up around the room. A father nearby frowned at his screen, showed his wife. Whispers spread. Mom stepped down amid confused glances. Someone pulled up the video on a tablet, audio clear over the murmur. Gasps followed the transfer screenshots. By 8, the superintendent arrived, unannounced, pulled Mom aside near the entrance. Board members huddled with clipboards. I slipped out before questions turned my way. Sunday morning, my phone rang with Dad's name. I let it go to voicemail first, then listened. Heather, the board met emergency session. They removed your mother as president and treasurer. She's repaying the $15,000 by end-of-week personal loan if needed. This hurts, but she brought it on herself. His voice cracked. Call me, I texted back. Gnome space is best. Spring messaged mid-afternoon, blocking Evelyn's number. Can't risk the kids near this mess. Colin stayed silent, focused on damage control. Work resumed Monday, clients none the wiser. Proposals flowed, one for a boutique hotel chain expansion in Boise. Negotiations dragged 2 months, but the contract signed 3 months later, my largest yet full creative control on interiors. Celebration dinner with Finley pasta and ice cream sundaes. She debuted her new accessory that night, a handmade badge pinned to her backpack. I belong, in bold marker, surrounded by tiny horses. For school, she explained. So everyone knows. I hugged her tight. We chose distance and called it peace. No holiday cards returned, no forced gatherings. Mom's social circle shrank. Rumors replaced invitations. The lesson burned clear. Favoritism poisons roots, and stolen trust demands repayment in full. Thank you for staying until the end. Drop your thoughts below. What would you have done in my shoes? Share the city you're from. Let's see how far this story travels.